This is the Decentraland 1 year overview reading for the year of 2024. That's Mana coin. And it's currently February 4th, 2024, 6:02 p.m. Eastern time. Mana at the time of this reading is 0.4316, or just over 43 cents USD. The shuffle video that we're about to play for you was created yesterday at 1:27 p.m. That's February 3rd. That's this video here in the lower left corner. So overall behavior and trend direction for Mana in 2024 is significantly bullish, guys. It's a really big move on like a multi-year scale. It's crossed with the Fool card, which means that there's an improbable opportunity in the midst of 2024 on a multi-year scale. A lot of price change usually with the Fool card, but it's hard to determine if it's bullish or bearish based on it, where it's situated. So with that said, we should be looking out for a really improbable opportunity. There's a couple places throughout the year where the Fool card correlates, and we'll talk about that as we progress through the reading. Behavior around the highest high for the year, we have a pop and drop into and out of the high. So pop and drop creates the high, and it should be kind of like a pointy kind of high. Behavior around the lowest low for the year, we have a big move out of the low to the upside, reaching for a distant resistance. So that's usually like it's at least past the first major resistance to come to the second one. That's what distant means. Like there'll be multiple resistances on the way there. Usually, sometimes it's like a big move to create a new resistance, but for the most part, it's to meet a distant resistance. Now, before we go any further, what we're going to do is get into the chart behavior and predict by the week chart behavior. We're going to predict the highs and the lows, the timing of the highs and the lows for the year to the week, and we're going to talk about where the best trades and all that stuff. All of that after we, and we also will talk about where the highest highs and the lowest lows are as far as timing. But all of that after we get through this little thing where I want to make sure everybody's aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise or you can use YouTube tips. And that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. So let's get back into it. Okay, guys, so remember that each cluster of 4 cards going left to right across the screen represents 1 month. It's very generalized information, but the first card and the last card each represent about 2 weeks of time, going left to right across the screen, and then again here in this other row. So each card represents about 2 weeks of time, but it's important to understand not each card's energy necessarily lines up perfectly with 2 weeks of time. So there may be some cases where you have to give the reading plus or minus 2 weeks of wiggle room here or there. In cases where you do have a reading like that, it's important to follow the sequence of chart events as outlined by the prediction, because that will keep you on track as far as where we are in the grand scheme of things. So with that said, let's get into it. In January, we have a prominent move higher on a 1 year chart followed by a full retracement. Matter of fact, let's take a look. Since it's already January, we can take a look and see how this is doing. Okay, so it looks like we had that prominent move, and then this full retracement of that move, and some into a lowest low for the year thus far, which was created. And then out of that, there is a little bit of a breakout as we move towards the later part of January. We should see more bullish behavior, and also the high for January formed off of a near overbought crest that we sold off from through multiple support levels. So the January reading is pretty accurate. Also, a rally along a diagonal trend line, breaking through horizontal resistance to meet a second resistance before pulling back to somewhere between those 2 price levels. So we went like this, and now we're kind of like in between, right? So that'll take us into February, where out of a lowest low, we probably see the lowest low again, and then there's a significant move. Yeah, there's actually probably a pretty sharp drop into a lowest low here, and then there should be a pretty big move out of that low in the early part of February. The high for February will form when we have a period of sideways rotation along support, establishing support, then a big move higher standing out on a 1 year chart scale, followed by sideways rotation at a higher price level, establishing support. That's the behavior around the high. So we should see some sideways rotation near the February high there. And it looks like the February low we're bound by an important range on a 1 year chart scale. My sense is that we probably see the same low as we saw in January, and I'll talk about that in more detail in the paid version. The later part of February, we have the halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support. There's also a trade opportunity in late January and early February, which I'll talk about in the paid version, as well as one near the trough in February. We probably move to the upside, and then we have a sharp drop to the February low. So early February, we move to the upside first, and then there's a sharp drop to the February low. Hard to say, but there's early bullish behavior in February. What's important in March, we've got another prominent trough on a 1 year chart scale. After early March, we have a decline through multiple supports. We actually decline to and through support, meet another support, bounce along that sideways for maybe a few days, and then we break down through multiple supports into another prominent trough on a 1 year chart scale. In the later part of March, we have a failed attempt to break through key resistance on a 1 year chart scale, followed by a decline through key support again on a 1 year chart scale. And there's the March high forms with a rally that ends. So it's kind of like when you see the completion card as a high significator, you usually see like this move that goes like, it's like a hump kind of. In April, we have a U-shaped dip that forms near the intersection of 2 perpendicular diagonal trend lines. And the April high, it looks like we established support around the cusp here, or like falsely established support around the cusp here of March, April, or maybe it's not falsely, but in either case, we established support, and it looks like we're going to break through some key resistance on a 1 year chart scale as we move into the April high. But there's a disappointment, doesn't work out, we turn around, we decline through key support on a 1 year chart scale instead. The behavior near the April low, we successfully turned resistance into support near the April low. So that failed attempt to break through key resistance, it might actually be the same resistance that we failed to break through in March, towards the end of March. March. So let me take a look and see. Yeah, it's the same resistance. So the later part of April, we have erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level. In the midst of that, we usually revisit a crest that was recently past opportunity. Occasionally it's a trough, but we revisit a past opportunity in the midst of that erratic behavior. And it looks like towards the end of April, there's a really big move to the upside. We created a overbought crest in early May that we sell off from through multiple support levels into another important trough on like a 1 year chart scale there for May's low. And out of that low, there is a significant move to the upside, possibly like a gap up or just like out of oversold territory or something. Big move to the upside, and we bump along resistance out of another prominent trough. There's a big move to the upside, and we bump along resistance near the May high. The May high and the May low are within close time proximity to each other, and the May high is also within close time proximity to a prominent trough on a 1 year chart scale. In the later part of May, we have multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance, and then there's likely some sort of decline after those failed attempts to break through key resistance as we enter into early June, because the futility card usually indicates some sort of scary chart behavior that like it looks really negative and like we're going to continue to go bearish, but we go bullish anyways. Either that or in early June, there might be like seemingly overwhelming headwinds. Either way, we go to the upside in early June. There's a prominent peak there in like the second week of June, significant peak on a 1 year chart scale, and we do 3 crisscrosses back and forth through the same price level in the June. Around the June high, usually that third crosses to the upside, confirming a bullish trend. That peak is also very likely an improbable opportunity on a multi-year chart scale. So I'll talk about that in more detail in the paid version. But there's a lot of price change into or out of, or both into the low or out of the June low. Either way, there's a lot of price change around the June low and a big move to the upside out of that June low. So usually at this point in the reading, what I'll do is I'll take a review of the prior year's reading, but we don't have a prior year for Mana. So instead, guys, I just want to point out to everybody how you can get a 1 year reading. We're running roughly a 98% average accuracy. You go to our website, tarotfortraders.com, hover over our services, click on SO Meta Posts. Guys, so what you get with the paid version, basically you get the timing of the best trades that we see, and also the type of chart behavior to look for as far as entry and exit into those trades. We look at any cross-reading congruencies that may be apparent there or present there in the reading as well, because those will help to give us an idea of where we are in the greater chart kind of scale. We talk about trades from a multi-year standpoint as well, and it's super valuable information, guys. Our 2023 readings, for the most part, we ran roughly a 98% average accuracy, predicting highs and lows to the week. So with that said, these are super underpriced. You won't find this information anywhere else. You go to our services, SO Meta Posts, scroll down to 1 year report, click here to order, specify the year you're interested in, and then put the crypto or ticker symbol. If it's crypto, please specify crypto. Add to cart. Really great way to support the channel. Much appreciation to everybody that does that. Again, you won't find this information anywhere else, my friends. With that said, let's get back into it. I think probably what happens there is we go in June, from that prominent peak. Yeah, and there's probably a pretty sharp drop off of that peak, taking us to a trough, like a big move into the peak and then out of the peak. And in early July, we're doing sideways rotational and key support on a 1 year chart scale. There's a prominent peak kind of like around the cusp of June, July. It may be the same peak or it may be a different one. It's hard to say, but we have a bearish price swings and a sharp drop off of the July high. Out of the July low, there's a fast sudden move higher sitting out on a 1 year chart scale, and then we have a lot of price change covered around the end of July near a key resistance level. This is another location where there may be an improbable opportunity on a multi-year scale that I'll talk about again in more detail in the paid version. A lot of price change into and out of a key resistance level here in the later part of July. It's probably we've probably come off of a high in early July and then returned back to that price level of resistance in the early part of August. In the August high, we have 3 pokes through the same price level, followed by a significant decline off of that third poke, and we'll actually have a pretty big move into the August high, likely off of a low. So in early August, we have this decline to and through support. We need a second support, rotate sideways along that, and then there's this big move to the upside, pushing the upper end of a range higher out of the August low. Sideways rotation in the later part of August that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and it looks like that fast sudden move higher does not last. There's a prominent trough there towards the end of August or in early September. Looks like we decline in early September, and then that decline ends with a fast sudden move higher, taking us into a rally along a diagonal trend line, and that rally ends with a fast sudden move higher, taking us into a September high, followed by a decline through that diagonal trend line, increasing with volatility on the way down. In the later part of September, we have a decline that offers opportunity. I'll talk about again in more detail in the paid version. There's also a pretty big move to the upside towards the very end of September, I believe. A lot of price change and volatility into and out of the September low as well. There should be a key resistance level highlighted around that September low. In the early part of October, we have a decline through multiple support levels. There's a key support or key resistance level that's highlighted near the October low, a prominent peak on a 1 year chart scale at the October high, and we sell off from that pretty notably. There's some sort of intentional fake out or shakeout in the later part of October. That devil card's also cross-reading congruency. I'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. We have mixed behavior in the early part of November, kind of like within a channel, back and forth, decline, incline, decline within a channel. The behavior around the November high, a rally through key resistance on a 1 year chart scale. We stay above it briefly, and then we break back down through it with a full retracement. Price swings near the November low. We likely see the November low twice, and we attempt to establish support in the later part of November. Key resistance, a big move to the upside in early December, taking us to key resistance on a 1 year chart scale again, and we have kind of like a flattening out around that resistance. The high looks for the December high looks like it's probably in the second week of December, and it'll be with a big move into it, and then a lot of volatility within a period of volatility and a sharp drop within that period of volatility, probably towards the end of the month of December. That's where it looks like there's a pretty significant decline. And out of the December low, we have a sideways fluctuating rally that precedes a decline. So we probably have like this sideways fluctuating big move higher in early December, and then a sharp drop off of that at a prominent peak at the December high, sharp drop off of it in later December. And then in 2025, it's possible that we have like either the same high that we had in 2024 or we have a higher one. Either way, there's a lot of price change covered. There's a cash out opportunity there and your support level on a multi-year scale, and there's a lot of money to be made based on that. But we'll have to look at that in more detail when we get into the 2025 reading. So strongest likely location of a lowest low for the year is going to be here in January, and then again here in February, possibly again in March, possibly even again like I don't think they're their lowest lows. They could be. It could be one again in May. So as far as highest highs, I think we probably see a highest high. Like, well, we see one here in June, we see one here in July and August, but they're probably higher. They're the same or higher. And then I think we see an even higher one either in October and or in December. But pretty bullish. With that said, guys, that's the 2024 reading for Mana. Much appreciation goes out to all my angel investors and all my supporters. Make sure to follow that Rule of Karma, guys. The channel is counting on you. We definitely know the names of everybody that does that because there's such a blessed few of them. And we have a private Discord channel just for angel investors. It's free. We all discuss things. They ask questions. We like post information on a calendar there. It's all free, only for angel investors, people that are repeatedly donating for the Rule of Karma. So with that said, guys, don't forget, thanks again, and I will see you on the next one. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.